Welcome to the reincarnation of the Kakophonos podcast. I'm Rikki LaCoste. It is April the 8th, 2010. In the background, you're hearing a piece by Thoth Ganesh, who we will be talking with a little later in the show, appropriately entitled Together Again. On this day, in 1904, Aleister Crowley first heard a voice talking to him and calling itself Aiwass, who claimed to be a messenger from the god Hur-Par-Krat, meaning Horus, as the child of Isis and Osiris. Crowley channeled and wrote down everything the voice told him over the course of the next 3 days, and subsequently titled it Liber al-Vel Legis, or the Book of the Law. The god's commands explained that a new aeon for mankind had begun. As a supreme moral law, it declared, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," and that people should learn to live in tune with their true will. Well, it's certainly a new aeon for Kakophonos internet radio. Before we get on with the episode, here's a little history about the show. First, from one of its founders, Rod McPherson.
It was originally started in 2002 as a Winamp streaming MP3 radio station for pagan music and talk. It went into a 3-year hiatus, and now the phoenix has risen again.
And now the phoenix has risen yet again. In 2001, the pan-esoteric organization called Psychopomp, which we created for the purpose of spreading magical education, toyed with the idea of creating an online radio show. There were fine examples under other genres already on the internet using various mediums. Then around 2005 or 2006, Apple Incorporated's iPods and iTunes became hot and provided a medium and a forum that we'd been waiting for. Rod McPherson and myself launched the Kakophonos podcast for the first time. It was originally conceived as a Psychopomp production, but really Psychopomp was no more as a creative endeavor by that time. Perhaps it will be resurrected sometime in the future. We published a few Kakophonos episodes in 2006-2007 and had fun doing it, and gathered a cult following towards whom we were most grateful before closing up shop for various practical and personal reasons. My feeling today, looking back, is that although we deemed the subject matter quite broad within the pan-esoteric genre, the genre itself was a bit narrow and exclusive for the general listener, in my opinion. We dealt with all things pagan, magical, and mythological, etc. We want to broaden the topical spectrum into other arenas. This reminds me of the Ars Magica open stage that I ran early in the decade in Toronto. It was the city's only occult-themed open stage monthly event. Unfortunately, and perhaps inevitably, the various criticisms we received from one group was that it was too pagan. Another group complained that it was too ceremonial. None of this was true, of course, or rather that both statements were simultaneously true, and said more about the perspective, the resistance, and the agenda of the individual complainers than it did the reality and the aim of the event. That of cross-exposure of subject matter for the audience that would normally be passed over or ignored, and possibly a cross-pollination of knowledge. Ars Magica actually became ever more broad in its monthly topics and speakers and spontaneous guests as we went along. We wound up delving deeper into pagan traditions and high magic, of course, but we also explored the paranormal, tantra yoga, feng shui and geomancy, various forms of divination, cryptozoology, ufology, astrology, astrophysics, psychedelia, holy Kabbalah, gematria and numerology, meditation, dreams, Reiki, prophecy, altered consciousness through sacred drugs, sex magic, and many other topics too numerous to list here. Too pagan indeed. Well, I think we will do the same here and broaden our horizons to include these subjects and many more in our new incarnation of the Kakophonos podcast. Really, if you think about it, most, if not all, of these subjects are, arguably, applications and studies into the dynamics of consciousness itself. Any of these aforementioned subjects beg the old and legitimate cliches about the meaning of life, who we are, and why we're here. Kakophonos does not propose to answer these questions definitively, but to join you in exploring them together. I will be gathering material from you, my community, my friends, and my colleagues. So please feel free to contact me by phone if you know it. Text, email, Facebook, and especially Skype. Although not absolutely imperative, Skype seems to be the most efficient and inexpensive method with which to conduct and record an audio interview. It is small and almost stressless to download and install, and it's free. All you need is a microphone. But there are other solutions, and we'll cross that bridge later when we have to. In the meanwhile, we would very much appreciate some initial feedback and suggestions from you. We won't be able to do this without you. For starters, I will be facilitating an event at both Wiccanfest and Kaleidoscope festivals this summer. I thought this idea would be a lot of ghastly fun. It will be a nighttime campfire storytelling event. There will certainly be tales that will make your skin crawl. But all I ask is that these stories be true, as far as you know, of course. In the same vein, I would like to begin collecting true stories of the bizarre, the uncanny, and the wondrous from you as well. And I will be asking to interview you for the podcast. Any other subjects you'd like to introduce or talk about on Kakophonos, or if you have any great ideas or suggestions for material, or even if you'd like to participate in the creation of the podcast in any way, please contact me. In the meanwhile, sit back and enjoy this reincarnation of the Kakophonos podcast. I hope you enjoy it. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Sissy man.
What?
Stop frolicking in Daisyland drinking scheisse beer like this.
But it's only ginger ale.
Bah,
Hey.
all the ales are mousepee compared to Wellstein Brew, the Uberman beer of the North.
I really don't want to.
Try it. We're doing a commercial.
No, thanks.
Come on, drink it.
I don't drink.
Drink it.
Listen, I'm just waiting here for...
Drink it, Scheiße, drink it. Wellstein Brew. Valhalla's beer, whether you drink it willfully or not.
Wellstein, das ist groß und das ist rein. Wellstein, Bro.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Well, that was me, the ginger ale drinker, and I'm happy to announce that, one fat lip later, of course, I'm still a complete teetotaler. After that exciting encounter with Wolfgang Strudelberger, the official spokes-Viking of Wellstein Brew, and an true Gothy of the Frigg Orf Garth. But that's all water under the bridge. As a matter of fact, we've become friends since then, and Wolfgang will be back in later episodes of Kakophonos, wearing different hats. And speaking of hats, he wanted me to tell you that Vikings never actually wore horned helmets, and that Wolf does only because they are awesome. Let me take this opportunity right now to tell you a little bit about the various features of this podcast and contact information. First of all, for any references we make on the show, our guests, features, music, and many other things, you'll be able to find them on our website, which is cacophonous.com. That's Kakophonos. Kakophonos.com. We love to receive email. Good, bad, indifferent. So we would love to hear from you for any number of reasons. And we'll even read your emails on the air on subsequent shows, even the nasty ones. Write us at Rikki@kakophonos.com. That's RIKKI at kakophonos.com. If you would like to be a guest on our show or have a good idea for a show or a website feature, please don't hesitate to write. Now, talking about features, here are some of the segments we plan to have on the show.